a Q&A live stream, and yes, timing is terrible. This is pretty unscheduled, but yeah, of course it is Friday, so I mean you've got about a 24-hour give or take window there of when the live stream will drop. So yeah, welcome to the live stream. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chat in the comment section there or the live chat. I'll be happy to answer anything that you've got on the go. I will be starting off by checking out AliExpress and seeing what we have there. Yeah, first of all, I'll be searching X79. I'll go over X99, and I'm just going to see what different platform options there are, and are there any good like value options, because it looks like the Canadian dollar to US dollar is what's actually changing the prices here, because I'm in the Canadian dollar, so it is a little weaker currency at the moment, it seems. So yeah, stuff was definitely cheaper before. I am considering buying some of these X79 boards, but the big thing with any system build is that it's not just one part that kind of makes or breaks a build. It's kind of all the parts together that kind of decide whether or determine whether or not it's a good value for money build. And yeah, let's just take a look. I'm going to browse through some of these build options here, but hang on, let me open up my Google Drive. And I will open up a new tab. I'll kind of do what we did yesterday on the live stream. I'll show you how I break down the costs for building a new system. Just got to make sure my OBS is set up properly. Hey, Hotspur, welcome to the live stream. I imagine you're... Actually, never mind. Sorry. I was just getting a tangent in there. Tangented. I did get most of my... I got about half my Lenovo S30s prepared. I got about 3 of them ready to go. I was getting some inquiries yesterday evening. I didn't do anything yesterday. I pretty much... Well, I prepped my systems. I went for 2 walks because it was really nice. Like, the weather, my goodness. Like, it's about 2 degrees here, just above 0. We had a little bit of snow this morning, which is kind of funny, but... Yeah, like the weather's been so nice. I'm probably going to go outside today. I've got a little window behind me there. I'll probably go out for a walk or something like that. But parts and pricing, I think this should be fine. I'll put it over here again. Let me just make sure that this looks all right. If you got anything that you want to chat about specifically, let me know. I'd be happy to answer any of those specific questions. You know, it was kind of funny though. One of my Lenovo S30s came with a Intel Xeon E5-1650 instead of the E5-1620, which was advertised, which doesn't matter to me really. Sometimes I like the lower power CPU just because then I don't need to upgrade the CPU cooler. I do have a tower cooler I can put on it. It was like this Chinese one. I'll show you here on the live stream from AliExpress, which I ordered. Let's just open up a new AliExpress tab here. I think it was just like 6-pipe cooler. I should put CPU cooler. Yeah, it was one of these coolers here I bought. I think it was like it was a long shoe or something. It was probably this guy right here. I bought one of these. The thing with buying this cooler here is that you do need a separate LGA 2011 adapter. You can request one or you can just buy one, because this one here is for LGA 1366 or LGA, like it doesn't say LGA 2011 here just because, yeah, 1650 is a 6-core CPU, you are right, and it does use a lot more power. So I have one of these CPU coolers. The way it got shipped though is pretty bad, so it's a little bit like bent and stuff, so it doesn't look too good, but it's still, I mean, hey, you've got a chunk of metal, so it'll keep the system cool if I choose to use it. I might actually order one of these. I don't know, like, if I need to buy a CPU cooler for Lenovo S30 specifically, I buy this one here. You do need the adapter, but I would buy this just because it's like, I know they'll keep even those 8-core 16-thread CPUs under like 72 degrees max load. But yeah, that is a tangent. What I want to kind of talk about today is pricing for different systems. So we've got CPU, yeah, mother. All right, we're gonna split. I'm gonna increase the font size here a bit. The good old classic. Hey, how are you doing, Hassan? It's been a little while. I haven't seen you around, but welcome to the live stream. We're gonna be doing plain old Q&A, but it's gonna be strictly for 1 hour. I'm not gonna be doing a really long stream today. I've got stuff I want to do, and then I've got a tournament I want to play in tonight. So yes, video games are actually a waste of time, but I'm enjoying them. So, all right, we're gonna be doing CPU costs. Yeah, CPU. Then we have motherboards. Then we have RAM. What else do we have? We've got GPU, PSU, PSU, power supply, case. Things that generally won't change are your case and power. So hang on, we're gonna bracket these into things that constants. I didn't spell that right. All right, constant variables in your system are going to be power supply and case. And yes, case is capital. Like these two items right here, power supply, case, and storage, which is /SSD/HDD there. Okay, by the way, what do you suggest for a $600 build use parts? Are you talking US dollars, Canadian dollars, or what are you talking about? Also, the Vega 64 will not work in a T3600. I'm going to tell you that right now. The Vega 64, I have one. It requires 2 8-pins, and it's brutal. 600 US, that's actually a pretty decent budget. So you currently have the T3600. I'm just thinking here. I would look at maybe an X79 build. Like, I'm gonna be strictly like plain honest here. I'm a big fan of like Xeons. Like I look at Xeons way before I look at Ryzen, and the big reason is I can buy. Like this is actually the big determining factor for me. Hey Connor, Barlow, how are you doing, man? Welcome to our Q&A live stream. If you got any questions regarding any like systems and stuff like that you want to chat about, or different components and stuff, let me know in the comment section. We do this Q&A live stream every Friday. So yeah, you're more than welcome to drop any questions you have there in the live chat. All right, I'm just gonna open up a new tab here. Yeah, so Hassan, we'll go over, like, I'm gonna try to put together a parts list here of different things that I'm looking at. It'll be probably built up a lot of the X79 platform. I think it offers a lot of good value for money there. But yeah, the big difference here is DDR3 registered versus DDR3 non-registered, or DDR4. Because I paid about 100 Canadian dollars for 16 gigs of DDR4, and if I bought from AliExpress, that same 16 gig of memory would cost me $45 Canadian, I believe. Yeah, or 43, there you go. And those are the things that you need to consider. It's kind of like, yes, DDR4 platform is better, but CPUs are more expensive. DDR4 costs twice as much, and it's kind of like, if I had the same budget and I had to spend it all, I would buy 32 gig of RAM instead of 16, because it's like with 32 gig of RAM, you can load like a Minecraft server in the back if you like Minecraft. You can load more Chrome tabs. You can play Call of Duty at like ridiculously high settings. So I think there's a lot of value in having a lot of memory in your system. Let's just see what else we got here. Also, let me know if the music's too loud, I can turn it down, or if it's too quiet, let me know as well, I can turn it up. Alrighty, so yeah, we're going to do an X79 build here. Alright, for CPU, this is X79 build. Or actually, different things we can consider. So, we have our constant here. I'm going to say power supply. Hey, AHXD, I was just chatting with you this morning. Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you're from. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, regarding, you were chatting about the i7-9930. That CPU will run really hot because it's on the 45 nanometer node or whatever. Let me just show you here quickly. I believe it's 45 nanometers. I don't think it's 32. Yeah, the reason your CPU runs freaking hot is because it's on 45 nanometers. What I'll recommend, if you can save up a couple bucks, buy the X5670. It's a 6-core 12-thread Xeon. It's supported in your motherboard, except it's on a smaller manufacturing process. Dude, you have the i7-9930. That's why I'm talking about it. So it's not that I also have. I have experience with these Xeons, but I'm answering your question, okay, man? So basically, the reason I recommended that upgrade in the comments immediately when we were chatting is because you can even go to AliExpress here. You can take a look. X5670. They're really cheap. 6-core 12-thread CPUs. Like, this is Canadian dollars, by the way. If you have US dollar, or if you're using something and you want to compare it, like, yeah, like 30 Canadian dollars, that's about 22 US dollars. You can get 6 cores, 12 threads. I'm assuming you have an overclocking motherboard, because you asked me the question if I overclock this, so I'm going to assume you have an overclocking board. You can easily take these up to like 3.6, 4 gigahertz, no problem. If you need, you can buy a cheap Chinese cooler here. This is one I like. It's a Langshan 6 heat pipe cooler here. It works really well. Same temps, better performance. Yeah, exactly. And you're not even overclocked. All right, yeah. If you have a question, drop it in the chat there, man. I'm going to be I'm going to be parting together a build here. So motherboard, we're going to go with Ddr3 X79, which is, I'll just put the price just in front here. I believe it was 75 bucks there, and yeah, free shipping. So that's set there. Add emitter motherboard, X79, RAM. That's $45 for 16 gigabytes. Ddr3 reg, yeah, 1600 megahertz reg. Oh, why didn't I get notification, Francisco? Man, who knows? I have ordered it and it is shipping. Okay, let me see. Will Corsair H45 work well? Okay, you just ordered it. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering, why are your CPU temps so high if you have, like, I believe that's a water cooler. Yeah, the water cooler will work really well for you there, man. Let's see. Corsair, yeah, dude, this 120 mil water cooler will work well. All you have to do is check to make sure it has an LGA 1366 bracket, and it'll work really well. Okay, moving along. You have it shipped. Okay, Connor has a question here. What would you recommend? I upgrade my specs. CPU are i5 3340, 16 gig of RAM, RX 570. Okay, nice. Connor, you have a really solid build there. I got a perfect recommendation for you. So you're using a 3rd gen i5, which is Ivy Bridge. So I'm going to recommend you upgrade to a Xeon, basically the i7-3770, and we're going to be looking at the Xeon equivalent here. Some good options that I will recommend are, for example, the Intel Xeon E3-1240 V2. It's the same generation, it's Ivy Bridge, and I'll just show you here. So for example, if you got these questions and I'm not here to answer them sometime in the future, you can always hop on. 3340 is what you said. You can always hop on here and take a look on arc.intel. You just Google and it'll show, yeah, Hassan Ali's got really good recommendations there as well. So basically the way that I know these CPUs are compatible, this is good for anyone who's watching here and if you're looking for different upgrades. Okay, the CPU that Connor currently has is the i5-3340. We can see here it's on 22 nanometers. Ivy Bridge generation, that's important to keep in mind. 22 nanometers, and what we're looking for is socket supported LGA 1155. So we know that they're both, like, they're on the same socket, so that's where it's the same socket as the i7-3770. And I'm just going to compare these two CPUs. So you can see the i7-3770, also 22 nanometers. Ivy Bridge supports LGA 1155, wherever it is. And the main thing here comparing the Xeon is kind of like we get 4 cores, 8 threads. i7 has 4 cores, 8 threads. Pretty much same turbo, same kind of performance. But the difference here is if we look on AliExpress, if you guys follow along, I'll answer your questions in a second, guys. Is if you see here i7-3770, how much are people asking for this? Okay, i7-3770 is about $120 Canadian. But if we look at the Xeon E3 let's do 1230 V2. I've used this before. It's only $62 Canadian, so that's half the price, and it performs the exact same. You have the dedicated. No, I didn't mean to put V4. Nope. All right, perfect. Yeah, I would go with the E3 1230 V2. Oh, you can also sort by orders. Sometimes that'll give you the cheaper price. I would probably go with the E3 1230 V2. So I recommend you go on AliExpress and order one of these Xeon E3 1230 V2s. Just let me know. Drop a comment, say I'm following along, and I'll know that I've kind of answered your question there. I'll move on because Hassan's got a question here. All right, Hassan Ali asks, so what do you think I should attach for a GPU with the Dell T3600? Or can there be a better build under $600? I mean, okay, Xeons. All right, let me just read the chat here. I know on the replay, if you're watching this on the replay, you got to see the live chat. It's hard to do this. All right. I'll get you. I'm just going to finish with Ahmed's question here, and then I'll get right back to you, Hassan, because that's where we're going to talk about the build that I'll be pricing out here, so you just hang with me. All right, so your EVGA 682 gigabyte reaches 100C. Holy smokes. Yeah, Ahmed, you're or I don't know, that's probably not your name, but it's just AHMXD, so it sounds like, it looks like an Ahmed to me. But, yeah, what you're going to want to do is probably change the thermal paste. You might need to underclock your GTX 680. That card runs really hot. I know I have one, but like when I was buying one just to have one on hand so I could benchmark, I made specifically sure to buy one with the biggest freaking cooler on it because yeah, it does run hot. So you may want to underclock it or go into MSI Afterburner and crank that fan all the way up and plug your ears, man. All right, yeah, Francisco, we're going to talk about what platform I recommend for X79 builds, and let's see. Thank you. I didn't even know if the best was 2011 or 1366. Yeah, LGA 2011 is a lot better than 1366. Let's see. Also, my PC doesn't shut down and it runs well. Let's see. Alex, his name is Ahmed. You called him a... AXD, yeah, I know I called. All right. Everyone's, at 100% fan speed. Yeah, you're going to definitely need to replace that thermal compound. All right, I'm going to talk on Hamid's question, then I'll go to you, Negative. What a weird name, man. Hi, Ro. For Fortnite, what graphics card should I choose? I'm aiming for 160 FPS on pro settings. I have, all right, perfect. For your build, Hassan and friend Cisco, you guys are just going to hang in there. You guys are getting bumped down on priority. I'm sorry, but Negative, I can quickly answer your question there. So currently you have the W3550 CPU. What graphics card are you running? I didn't see you mention that. So yeah, Negative, if you can list what graphics card you have there. And yeah, Francisco and Hassan, I'm going to get to you guys in just a moment. So you have a really good CPU upgrade recommendation for you, Negative. Yeah, so you have the W3550 that is on LGA 1366. This is on the 45 nanometers, and what I'm going to recommend you upgrade to is the, if you have the money, get the W3680. If you are on a tighter budget, get the X5670. Alright, if you're looking for a GPU, I recommend get the RX 570. It's readily available and it's very budget friendly. Okay, the two CPUs I'm going to recommend here for you are the X5670 and the W3680. W3680, 6 cores, 12 threads. It's supported in the system that you currently have, Negative. So that's where you can easily buy one of these on AliExpress. The W3680 has something called an unlocked multiplier, which means using a program called Intel Extreme Tuning Utility, you can overclock it manually. You don't need an overclocking board. You can manually overclock it to 4 gigahertz, and that'll help a lot with the frame rate. If you're on a tighter budget, go with the X5670, 6 cores, 12 threads, but you're going to play more around that 120 mark. W3680, you'll be more around 120 to 180. Depending on where you are on the map. X5670 around 100 to 140, 150. I got videos on both CPUs, or actually I have a Fortnite benchmark of the W3690. Very similar. You can find that on my YouTube channel with Fortnite. I think I posted around December. And then as well, I recently did one with the RX 570 paired with the X5670 in Fortnite. So I recommend both of those CPUs. And of course, the best place to buy them is AliExpress, the W3680. You can quickly see here. These are Canadian dollars, but so about 60 Canadian dollars. You can always click the orders tab and you'll see which is the most ordered. You can order from any of the sellers. So yeah, $60 for that. Or if you go with the X5670, it's a little bit slower. I don't recommend the X5670 if you can get the W3680. But yeah, if you're on a cheaper budget or you need an SSD drive, get the yeah, you got different options there. Alrighty. By the way, is RX 570 good with i7 930? Yes, you can get the RX 570, but I'd recommend yeah, you probably need a new GPU. So M8XD or whatever your name is, I recommend get the RX 570 and get yourself an X5670 or W3680. Those are the two upgrades I recommend. Get new thermal paste, repaste your GPU there, and see if there's not a lot of dust clogging it. All right, we're going to get to Hassan's and Francisco's questions now. All right, so we're going to be talking about building a budget system here. Let me just scroll up so I got some context. All right, Francisco basically just wants to know which platform to go with, and Hassan wants to know kind of going with the next build what he should go with. Okay, not much. You can get X5670 25. Yeah, Hassan basically is giving you all the right answers there. Yeah, basically both CPUs that we were just talking about, Hassan put them in chat, which is really nice. He's keeping everything in check there perfectly. GPU, I always recommend RX 570. This is about 120 Canadian dollars in my experience. But yeah, we're going to be putting together an X79 build here. Okay, 89 FPS, good for competitive Fortnite. I don't know, like, anything above 60 is decent, and the key is that you're actually playing the game. So yeah, once you get your CPU cooler in and you've set that up, dude, your temps are going to come right down in order. And then yeah, in the order you want to upgrade your system, first get the X5670 and then get yourself like an RX 570 video card. All right, the CPUs we are going to be considering today, the E5 2650 V2, popular CPU, one of my favorites. It is pretty pricey. It's around that 80 Canadian dollar price. Never mind, it went down a bit. All right, we're going to mark it at $75. $75. This is the E5 2650 V2. I'll try to keep up with chat, but guys, we're just flipping through here. Okay, what cooler would you recommend for the E3 1230 V2? Connor, quick question. What CPU, what temps does your CPU currently run at? Let me know and I'll tell you whether or not you need to upgrade. Most likely, you probably don't need to upgrade your CPU cooler, by the way. I think you'll be just fine. From experience, like it's not a that CPU does not run hot because it's on 22 nanometers, just like your 3rd gen i5. Okay, let's see. Play Fortnite 65 FPS with 4K match. My stats are fine. Okay, Hassan, will I be normal with? You'll be fine. Okay, wasn't the RX 570? I'm doing Canadian dollars here, guys, so just keep in mind, all of my pricing is Canadian dollars. Yeah, idle runs. Yeah, so Connor, you should be fine getting the E3 1230. Order that. If for some reason while you're playing games it goes above 80 degrees, then you can buy a new CPU cooler. If it stays 76, somewhere around that, you'll be just fine. You don't have to worry at all. Yeah, you guys are just cranking away there. All right, I'm going to focus on this build here. Remember, this is all in Canadian dollars. I'll write that at top. All prices are in Canadian dollars. Isn't this great, guys? We have a live stream going here with an active chat. And look, we just pulled up. Just like, this is just, we're just writing on text here. Isn't this interesting? All right, so for CPU, we're going to be considering the E5 2650 V2. It's on 22 nanometers. You got 8 cores, 16 threads. It runs pretty cool. So we're able to get, yeah, we're able to pair that with this cheap X79 motherboard that doesn't have really impressive VRM heatsinks and stuff because it's not going to draw that much power. So that's like a check right there. I think it's a really good build. Let's just price this out here and see what this would cost. 75, 150, 200 there approximately, 320. PSU can range a lot. I'm going to mark this at about $65. Prices are a little more expensive. Case, you have a lot of different options. I would budget around 70 Canadian dollars. Just keep in mind, guys, this is what I would be paying. So maybe if you're in Europe and stuff is expensive there, you might end up paying 70 euros for a case, or you might pay 70 euros for a power supply. So keep that in mind. Prices will vary depending on where you live. Basic, I would say 500 watt PSU is perfectly fine with the E5 2650 V2, because as we'll quickly, I can show you guys here quickly, E5 2650 V2, it's 22 nanometers, it's Ivy Bridge generation, so it runs nice and cool. And yeah, Hassan, I might recommend this build here. It's pretty cheap, it's under your budget, but hey lad fan, welcome to the live stream, glad you could make it. I guess I'll just put in my Discord that we're live, because we don't have a lot of people. Don't have a lot of people on, actually. Well, a lot of my regular viewers aren't on. It's great that we have some of the new faces here. But yeah, my idea with the X79 build is kind of like, okay, instead of spending a ton on this new DDR4, yeah, dude, I get it. When you're in Europe, everything's expensive there. But okay. But the reason we're going to be looking at the X79 build is because, okay, I'm just going to add up all my prices here in Canadian dollars. We're going to pull out our calculator. Oh yeah, we do need to add our storage SSD drive. Currently, it's about 50 Canadian dollars. Actually, I think the motherboard supports NVMe. But anyways, we'll put 60 CAD, 60 Canadian dollars for a 240 gigabyte SSD / NVMe. Depends what you can get. And then you can budget around $40 for a, let's say about 500 gigabyte HDD hard disk drive there. And I think this covers everything. We've got case, power supply, motherboard, CPU, RAM, yeah, everything in there. And then we're just going to be using Windows unactivated here. All right, let's see if you guys have anything else you needed in chat quickly before we continue. RX 570. I thought you can go with Vega 64. Well, I'm not well experienced as you though. The thing with Vega 64 and Vega 56, they're decent options, but they use way too much power in my opinion. Both of them need like dual 8 pins, and I've tried using like different adapters and stuff to see if I can pull the right amount of power, but it's like one of my workstations, I put a Vega 64 in it, and literally I put it under load and boom, system shuts down because, yeah, there's not enough power for it though. Dude, RGB strips, you're right. My goodness. Francisco, you're right. You're definitely going to need to budget that. We're going to budget RGB at, let's see, $0. At least we put it in the budget there, but we're putting $0. You can just grab a flashlight from your camping drawer and stick it in there. Yeah, Connor's got a good point. The Vega 64 runs hotter than the frickin' sun there. That is true. I don't like... This is my opinion. I'm changing a lot of how I'm thinking about different graphics cards now. I don't like hot cards. If you can't afford the NVIDIA GTX 1070 or 1660 Super, go with them because they run a lot cooler. And if they run cooler, they'll generally run quieter. So it's kind of my two GPU options that I always recommend. RX 570. And the next one is I'm going to put out about 300 Canadian dollars is what I would pay. Obviously, everyone has to pay whatever else. All right, $300, we're going to put the GTX 1070 there. And, okay, for those of you who are new to the live stream, what we're going over here is building a price list here for a X79 system, just because we've got some guys in the chat. We've got Hassan who's looking at perhaps building a system. He's on LGA 1366. And he's got about $600 US to spend. And yes, before you harp on me in chat, we are considering the X79 platform. And if you stick with me here for 10 minutes, I will explain that. So GTX 1070 or the GTX 1660 Super are the two GPUs I would go with. All right, I think we've got everything ready here. Got our calculator out. Okay, so that's 150, 75 plus 75 plus 45 plus, what else do we have? We're going to leave GPUs separately. Power supply, $65. Case, $70. Storage, $100 there. And plus RGB, $0. Okay, so it's $430 Canadian as a base system. So that's about 300 and something US dollars. Now, that is under your budget. But now let's consider, it's kind of like this, because we've got 8 core, 16 threads, you can pair... You can play like these new AAA title games, like, I don't know, Warzone, I'm having a challenge with it, but you can play new AAA title games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, CS, okay, those are not AAA, but anyways, you can play all these AAA title games well above 60 FPS. A lot of them, especially like PUBG, they'll use all 8 core, 16 threads. You can even do basic live streaming, so it's kind of like, for 430 Canadian dollars, we can have a base system put together, and that's assuming that we have to spend $100, basically a fourth of the budget on storage. If you already have storage, which you do, then you can obviously cut that out of the build. But now what we basically want to consider, it's like, okay, we have a base system. Okay, hard to find 1660 Super, then I would look at GTX 1070. And the reason, if we go with, okay, if we're going with this old X79 platform, we don't have to spend a lot on the base system. Oh, I forgot cooler, guys. Oh my god, why didn't anyone in chat be like, we forgot the cooler? Alright, we're going to add $30 on top of that build for the cooler there. CPU cooler. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put that there. Alright, CPU cooler. That's going to be about $30. You can get cheaper ones. You can get cheaper ones because it's like, I don't know if you guys watched the video I did where I did a live build of the dual X79s, dual E5 2650 V2 on my build, and it was really cold. So in where I work, like the ambient temperature is probably about 16 degrees Celsius or something like that. It's really cold. That's why I'm wearing a big sweater and stuff. And I was literally getting about 18 degrees on idle and getting about 32 degrees under full load. Obviously that was open air case, but that was a big tower, so it's like you don't need a really nice cooler. Ladfan, you said SATA cables, but that's where if you go with the NVMe drive, and with a lot of these Chinese motherboards, they do include one SATA cable, so you are set. You don't have to worry about that. But do make sure with the cooler, you might need a LGA 2011. Actually, no, you don't need adapter. You don't need the LGA 2011 adapter. I changed my mind. It comes with the X79 motherboard. Right here. This comes with the LGA 2011 adapter. All right, what did you guys need? Can the Corsair H45 reduce GPU temps? It can reduce it a little bit in the sense that we're not dumping heat in the case. What I might recommend for like the time being, take your side panel off the case and try running it at that. But yeah, it can help with the temps for sure. All right, let me see if I missed anything in the chat here. All right, Negatives got a, I'm just going to catch up with chat. My GTX 750 Ti broke when I experienced a power outage. Yeah, that sucks, man. I used an old graphics card to see if it would show device manager, but it actually shows, but it gives me a black screen when I boot. Yeah, that sucks, man. For a good graphics card to run 1440p, 1080, I would recommend, yeah, Connor's got a good recommendation. You can go with the RX 5700 XT. That is a super solid graphics card. Obviously, I'm looking at the used market because used is always cheaper. So that's where if you want 1440p gaming, yeah, we can write 1440p gaming. That's 144p. 1440p gaming, we're looking at like the 1070, 1660 Super. If you want 1080p slash basic 1440p gaming, you can look at the RX 570. I do want to do benchmarks in the next couple weeks. I do have a 1440p monitor. I want to retest games at 1440p just because that's the next step up. And I think the RX 570 still does a great job at 1440p because if you're playing Fortnite Pro settings, you're not at 100% usage. All right, quickly moving along here. Yeah, we covered Connor's comment there. Yeah, negative. That sucks that your GPU broke. By the way, Alex, did any of your systems struck at startup with lights blinking? I tried PLL overclock. No, I've never done PLL overclock, so I've never had issues like that. Sorry, Hassan. I told you, man, I'm a simple guy. It's kind of like I build to sell. So it's kind of like, for example, earlier this month, or actually in the last couple months, there was this big thing on the X99 platform where it's like Turbo Boost Hack Unlock, where you can get this big performance increase. But the reason I'm not going to do that is because when I sell it to someone, I don't want them to have a hard time with it. Francisco, you got a really good comment there. I'm going to get to you in just a second there. But yeah, AHMXD, I hope that answered your question in terms of like the biggest thing for like lowering the temperatures of your CPU and GPU. For CPU, getting that CPU cooler, that new one that you've got on the way. And for graphics card, take your side panel off, blow it out if there's dust in it, replace that thermal compound, and it will help a lot there. All right, moving along. Yeah, Hassan's been really helpful in chat here. Thanks, man. You've been doing a good job. I mean, we've got a really nice community here. Like, I can't believe it. Holy smokes. I just checked 10 concurrent viewers. I kind of don't believe that, but I see we've got a lot of people in chat here. So who knew? Who knew? All right. Francisco Valpini. All right. Talking about the X99 platform. So before we move on to that, I'll quickly go over. So basically what we were talking about here with the X79 build is kind of like, okay, we've got a big budget of like $600 US. But it's like, okay, we want the best, I guess, gaming performance. That's our goal. So it's like, we're going to spend 460 Canadian dollars on the base system. Let's see. Let me go to incognito here with my AliExpress. We're going to do, I'll just close out these two tabs here. We're going to do CAD to USD. Obviously, with the X79 platform, it is older. There's a risk that it could break, but I mean, I have never had a problem. Okay, so about half of your budget is going to be spent on the base build, but now you think about it, because we're going with the X79 platform, like because we have a solid base build, you can spend 300 USD on a graphics card. And, like, you can't do that if you go with Ryzen, so yeah, that's why we're looking at the X79. Okay, now we're going to do pricing for X99. The biggest difference with the X99 platform, Francisco Valpini, actually, it is a decent platform to consider. if you're going to be doing that turbo boost unlock, and what Francisco is talking about here is, let's open it. Let's do X99. You can easily get one of these. You can get any of these motherboards here. I went with the cheapest one, so I would probably go with this guy here, because I'm like cheap. If it's cheap and it looks good, I'm gonna buy it. So that's $90 for motherboard. If we go with the E3 2620 V3, that's 6-core 12-thread CPU. You can unlock that multiplier, or not unlock that multiplier, but you can do your turbo boost unlock. And I will, not a shout out, but it's kind of like, there is a YouTuber that I really like. It's called Mikon's Hardware. I don't know if I spelt it right. Let me get the proper spelling, guys. This is a YouTube channel that I recommend you take a look at. And yes, I have no problem. Okay, it's spelled weird. It's M-Y. The guy, he does a lot of these builds in Russian, but he also has a lot of stuff in English. So this YouTube channel here, I would definitely recommend. I'm going to link this in the chat here. If you're going to be doing any Xeon builds, take a look at it. Yeah, he's done a really good job. His latest video here, how to do the turbo boost unlock permanent, like it's done through the motherboard. So yeah, this is a YouTube channel I would take a look at if you're going to be looking at the X99 platform. The big difference between X99 and X79 platform, as we were mentioning earlier, is that your memory is going from $45 Canadian for 16 gig of RAM to $100 Canadian for 16 gig of RAM. But obviously, if you're buying that E323, yeah, the E5 2620 V3, and you're going to do that turbo boost unlock, like, it might even be like $10 cheaper to go with the X99 platform. I prefer the 8-core 16 threads of X79, and I like the cheap memory, so I go with that. But yeah, X99, Francisco, if you're going with kind of what you mentioned there, with like a cheap X99 motherboard and a cheap CPU like this, doing the turbo boost unlock, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Alrighty, let's take a look here. Did we miss any comments? Everyone's talking about my CPU's overheating. Alright, let's see. You have to try it. I can tell, I guess, probably. I found X99 with 8 SATA Ddr3 70 euros. Cope or drop. I don't know what cop or drop means. Just give me the name of the build of the motherboard and I'll take a look at this. I'm just idle and just watching this. Yeah, dude, you see? Yeah, those LGA 1366 CPUs on 45 nanometers run like gosh darn hot. Like they're basically secondary room heaters. Besides the AMD graphics card R9 290 there. Okay, AHMXD, man, like you're gonna get a big difference with your liquid cooler. Don't worry, man. Like, it'll be a big difference. And the biggest thing is we've already answered kind of your questions and comments there. So it's kind of like, I think you have enough information to be like, okay, you can feel good that it's gonna make a big difference. We can't say exactly what difference it'll make because 45 nanometer CPUs, they just run freaking hot. Like, I know I had a similar CPU to the one that you have there, whatever your name is, man. And I was getting like 88 degrees once when I was running it with a basic cooler. So it's, yeah, 45 nanometers just suck. Like, they suck so much. That's why I say upgrade your CPU. Even going from 4 cores to 6 cores and going on to 32 nanometers, it'll run cooler. Alright, if anyone else has any other like comments or topics you want me to cover, let me know. Hassan, I hope this helped you kind of breaking it down where it's like, I like X79. Maybe you go with X99. There's no right answer. Alright, I'll see you later, Hassan. Take care, man. Obviously, another option is if you want to go with X99 and you want to spend a lot more money, you can go with the E5 2678 V3. It is a lot more expensive. It's 150 Canadian dollars, which is basically the price of your motherboard and CPU with all the other options out there. But it does support Ddr3 memory, so yeah, it's not too big of a difference. But the main thing is, if you go with that X79 or X99 platform, budget half of your build or a good chunk of it towards the graphics card, because that'll make the biggest difference in terms of quality and stuff. Dude, your data's an RTX 2080 Ti. Man, that's insane. All right, Hotspur, for my CPU, you recommend the E5 2689, but I found locally a W30 2687 120 CAD. Screw this and get the screw this too and get the from AliExpress the W6 decent. Yeah, that is a decent CPU that you're showing there. It actually turbos up really well, arc.intel, and that price, I think that's a little expensive, honestly. And it does, like, it is an insanely powerful CPU, W678. No, W, right? Or it's 87W. Yeah, if you guys have to tune out, don't worry. If you got to sign off, no worries. We've been live for a very long time here. Let me get the model number right. All right, E5 2687W. Let's get, come on, guys. Let me see if I can type properly here. Yeah, this runs damn hot. I think it's got an all-core turbo of like 3.4 gigahertz. It would be insanely good of a CPU, but like you're gonna need to spend a lot of money on a good CPU cooler. It says 150 watt TDP. I'm gonna mark this at about maybe 300 watts from the wall, 350 watts from the wall just for this CPU. I don't think it's worth it just because like it's barely faster than E5 2689, which you can get here for probably around $80 Canadian. So I would probably say get the E5 2689 still. It's cheaper. You're going to need to buy a CPU cooler anyways. If you want, I recommend this CPU cooler here, this Langshan 6 heat pipe cooler. You can get the dual fan model. It doesn't make a big difference. Big key what I was talking about earlier, Hotspur, this 3-pin connector. I'm pointing at my screen, you can't see it, but there's a 3-pin connector there, and that makes all the difference. 3-pin connector means motherboard has no control over fan, which means CPU will stay nice and under that 80-degree mark. Yeah, so I don't recommend the E5 2687W unless you're like, hey, I'll offer you 85 to 90 Canadian dollars and be like, I buy based off price to performance. This is what I can offer. Yeah, I can't offer any more. It's just it runs really hot, and I would need to buy additional cooling for that system. And just be straight honest when you're negotiating. Be like, look, I buy based off price to performance. It performs a little bit better than the E5 2689. I understand this is a better model. I can offer maybe $5 to $10 more, but it's not gonna make a big difference for me. I'm like, this is what I've got to spend. If you're interested in selling, let me know. Otherwise, no worries. Like, and if it's a local offer and you don't want to lowball, just be like, hey, I have no intentions of low. And then at the end, it's like, hey, would you consider? Some really good words when negotiating is, would you consider? And yeah, would you consider is my biggest recommendation. Yeah, 61C is, yeah, that's normal, dude. Those RTX 2080 Ti's have insane coolers, so yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, but yeah, RTX 2080 Ti, that is pretty busted. Oh, like that, it's an insane graphics card there. All right, but yeah, I'd still recommend go with the E5 2689 there, Hotspur. That's my recommendation. Yeah, if anyone else has any questions, the chat has finally calmed down a little bit. Francisco, Hassan, it says Hassan's still here. I don't know why he's still here. Doesn't make any sense. Oh shoot, did I end my stream? No, I don't know. It says I have 0 viewers. All right, Griffix FN, how are you, man? Fortnite, looks like we've got a Fortnite chatter here. What's going on? Do you replace thermal paste? You can probably replace the thermal paste every year. AHMXD. I'm doing good. How are you, man? No, I'm not. Yeah, if there's any questions I can answer for you, Griffix, let me know, man. Let's see. Yeah, thermal compound, you generally want to replace it about every year. It doesn't make a huge difference. The biggest difference in cooling is going to have a solid CPU cooler there. Yeah, otherwise it's not going to make a big difference. Because it's like, for example, I had like an i7-920, very similar to that CPU that you have. But it's like, even after replacing the thermal compound, I'm still running at like 85C. That's, I think, back when I had an X58 system in about October time. So yeah. Yes, Connor, you have a good question there. Don't most AMD cards run hotter than Let's see. Alrighty. Alrighty, there we go. Perfect. Hold on, guys. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I'd say AMD cards generally run hotter than NVIDIA cards, and the reason being is because the AMD cards, they generally have the voltages set a lot higher than necessarily for the clocks. That's why you hear a lot of times like AMD undervolting, how to undervolt AMD GPU. You never hear how to undervolt NVIDIA GPU. And the reason being is because the voltages for the NVIDIA cards are generally like, they're done really well. AMD, it's kind of like when you push an extra 150 millivolts through a graphics card. So for example, I had an RX, like some of these RX 570s I work with, under full load, they're running at 1100 millivolts. And yeah, so 1300 core and 1100 millivolts on, 1300 millivolts on the, what's it called? No, okay, I can't do this properly. Let me see. I'll go over to YouTube, and I have a small tutorial thing, but okay. Let me just write it out. I can't speak this. I can't think clearly at the moment. Let's see. Parts and pricing. All right, down here. So AMD video cards and why they run hot. So core clock might be around 1300 megahertz, but they're going to push 1125 millivolts through the graphics card. Hey, Triple Furious, welcome to the stream. But when in reality, you can run 1300 megahertz on the core and use maybe 1000 millivolts, 1000 millivolts on the core there to support that. So it's kind of like, yeah, my RX runs at 1100 millivolts. Yeah, Connor, I'll recommend download. You probably have the AMD drivers. I might have it's a little older tutorial, but I can find it for you if you'd like. I have a tutorial on how to undervolt. Basically, all you do is I have a tutorial. Let me link that up for you. Yeah, I hope it helps. I need to make a new one here with the new AMD Wattman. We can watch it here. It doesn't matter. Hopefully this helps you here. But basically, it's kind of like the reason AMD video cards run super hot is because their voltages are an extra 150 millivolts generally above what is recommended. I don't recommend using MSI Afterburner to undervolt because when you lock 150 millivolts on the undervolt, it affects every state of the card. If you're on idle and your clock's only at 300 or 800 megahertz, like 800 megahertz might run fine at 900 millivolts. But if you lock it in on MSI Afterburner at minus 150, it's kind of like you might crash on idle states. That's where here. Let me get to this here. So this here is AMD Wattman. I'm just gonna put full screen here. Actually, you won't be able to see it properly then. Today we're going to be setting up. Here, I'll just go over this quickly with you guys.
Overclock. I do have an RX 570 in the system, so yeah, as you can see here, Radeon RX 570. So what you need to do is first open up.
Actually, this is probably not going to be helpful. Basically, I'm just going to mute this. All I'm doing here is I'm opening up Radeon Relive software. You can follow this exact guide here. Okay, I know how to undervolt, but I just like having it the way it came and not messing around with. Yeah. I would this is a big misconception. A lot of people are like, does it hurt the graphics card to undervolt? And this is what you need to think about. It's kind of like, how would we put it? If your car can drive 100 kilometers an hour in gear 5 and you're running that's too complicated. It's kind of like, just think of it the same way as cars and how you have different gears. When you're on highway, you're generally in the top gear, so your RPM's probably around 2100 if you're driving fast, like 120 kilometers per hour. It's kind of like, think about AMD video cards as like, okay, they're overvolting their graphics cards out of stock, which means when you're on highway, they're going to be driving in gear 4 or 5, which means they're going to be running like 3000, 4000 RPM, where it's like, yeah, they have a lot of power, there's a lot of voltage, so there's not going to be any crashes, but you're pushing way too much power through the system, and it's not like, it's almost worse for the card to run it overvolted out of stock than to undervolt it, in my opinion. So I recommend you can follow my little tutorial here. I can link this in chat if it's any more helpful. But yeah, I honestly, Connor, inside, like, AMD's done a good job here. setting up like these custom undervolting. And what I'll recommend, let me see if I can't skip to a part where I see the option for setting up. Okay, so you can see right there, I hope you guys can see this. In the top left hand corner of the screen, you can see there's something called global tuning. Connor, just follow this, like just do this precisely here. When you open up performance and you accept yes, I understand the risk of undervolting, which there really isn't. Yeah, I get it. RX 570 8 gig, nice. Basically all you're gonna do is, yeah, I'd recommend follow my tutorial here. You're going to want to do something called add a profile. Oh, perfect, I do it right here. Let me turn this on.
Do is click add game profile. You can see I have a couple. Well, the cool thing is there's a feature you don't always have to come up here and hit load profile. Now what you can do is about 925.
I just followed this here.
Hit enter, and now you've got your I guess desired settings. So now what you're going to want to do is hit apply changes, and now that's been applied to your graphics card. But now let's say you want this to automatically be applied whenever you play a certain game. Well, the cool thing is there's a feature you don't always have to come up here and hit load profile. Now what you can do is click add game profile. You can see I have a couple games loaded here, so I'm going to click on Fortnite, the game that I have installed, and that I'd like the GPU to be tuned on. So I'm just going to click add Fortnite into my list of I guess games to be tuned on. And now here, let's see, I believe this should apply here. We automatically already made a profile, but just in case it doesn't work out like this, you can always set it up again, hit apply changes, and this should apply to whenever you hit Fortnite. So for example, if you restart your system now and you load up your program, like with the Radeon drivers, it'll automatically load up these voltage settings. Like, it could take a little bit of playing around to make sure that it gets applied properly, but the best way to check what your voltages are is to have...
Yeah, I hope you got that there, Connor. I'll turn down the sound. Yeah, Connor, I hope that made sense here. Basically, with the new AMD drivers, you can lock certain overclock/undervolt profiles into the driver, into like a certain game. So for example here, I hope you were following. You can always go back, you can always just watch the tutorial I linked. I think it's really important you follow it and you actually do it, because I can tell you right now, Connor, you might drop 10 degrees in temperature just by undervolting your core a little bit. So basically the main thing is add a game profile, then set, so anytime Fortnite loads, it's kind of like, instead of your, so you might have core clock. What was your core clock? I don't think you said. Okay, let's see, RX XFX. Yeah, okay, so you'll probably be around like 1280 megahertz core, 1300 megahertz core. So you can lock in about 1300 megahertz core, and then lock in at about, if you want to be on the safe side, you can lock at about 1025 millivolts. So RX 570 clocks. Oh yeah, I have them right here. Basically do this. You can even, if you want to play a little safer, you can go 1025 millivolts. And then memory, I think your memory speed should already be at 2000 megahertz, but when you're going and setting up that profile and you get a chance to look at and play with the AMD drivers, make sure you set your memory speed to 2000 megahertz. It'll make a big difference. Also, if you're because you're on an 8 gigabyte video card, I don't know what your power limit is. You might have 150 or it might be at 120. You know what? Let me just research that. Why am I going to just be like, I don't know. Let me just, I got time. Yeah, let's see. RX 570 XFX 8 GB. How to mess up with your search terms. Specifications. All right, let's see. It should say 150 TDP. Where's the TDP? Oh yeah, dude, this is perfect. Okay, so if you want like improved performance in your game, this is what I'll recommend. Before you make any changes, play a game, observe what frame rate you have in a specific part of your map. I don't know why your message was retracted. But yeah, you can basically put these, this is for core clock, and then for memory, it's super easy. You go from 1275 to 2000 megahertz, and because you have the 150 watt limit, you'll be fine. Otherwise, sometimes what I do on graphics cards, when I'm tuning it, I will increase the power limit, because your system memory, because you have 8 gigs especially, can also use a lot of power. So it's like, just because you're pulling 150 watts with your RX 570 doesn't mean it's going to run hot. What'll determine whether it runs hot is generally what stupid voltage is being run through that core. So it's kind of like, drop it down. Yeah, so you're going to be dropping 125, you can drop it 100 millivolts. So yeah, basically copy these settings right here. I'll just copy and paste this into chat for you. I hope that's there. So core clock 1300 megahertz to 1125. Good question, Connor. And for this specific application, you need to use Radeon software. Do not use MSI Afterburner. Because, okay, let me explain it like this. At the max core clock, 1300 megahertz, we can afford to drop from 1125 down to 1000 and we're still stable. But when we're on idle, which I think is at about, here, let me go to my video. I'll tell you what idle state is quickly. And then I'm going to explain this so that it makes sense to you. So on idle state, we're running at I think 300 megahertz or something like that. And when we're at 300 megahertz, I think we're only running about, like 588 state 1, we're running 300 millivolts at idle. But if we undervolt it by 100 millivolts, like, we might crash our whole card, our whole system. And yes, if the system crashes, it's not a bad thing. Just reboot it, change your settings, no damage done. Where damage can be done is when you overclock and you put too high a voltage and the cooling is not adequate. That is where damage is done. Undervolting, worst thing that happens is your system hangs and it crashes. I don't have experience of cards breaking by undervolting, because it's like, trust me, dude, I've played with that slider so much. I've found out what are the right settings to use, and every time it crashes, I just restart and it works. Okay, Triple Fears, isn't MSI Afterburner better because settings stick and if they reset on restart? No. Okay, good question, Triple Furious. Two things there. MSI Afterburner, yes, the settings can stay, and also with Radeon Relive, when we create the custom game profile, we can also have the settings stick. But you see here with Radeon Relive, what we get control over, what is what for best state. Basically, you can just copy my settings here for all the other voltages here. Let me see. Yeah, you can see the voltages here, and this is what I was mentioning. The base state voltage is 750, but if we like with MSI Afterburner, if we're hitting that, like when we mess with MSI Afterburner, it affects every state. Basically, this is what I like to follow as a principle. If you're going to run 1000, I'd say 1025 millivolts on your 1300, just drop the millivolts by like 10 or 20, and you can go all the way down until about like that 900 range. So it's kind of like I don't worry about getting my voltage curve done really well. It's kind of like, okay, as long as my peak state, which is my max state, which it's normally going to run at, is taken care of, the voltage can be higher for all the other states as it kind of peaks down. So it's kind of like, as long as you get the main voltage taken care of, just drop it by 10 millivolts until you reach about like 1000 to 900 millivolts there. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, you can just come in here. Yeah, see what I did here? I hope you guys can see this, but it's like, I went 1268 and 980 on millivolts. Then I dropped 960, 950, 940, 925, 912. So it's still on the 900 range. Like, and yes, you can tune it a little better, but generally with AMD video cards, they either run at peak state or they don't run at peak state. There's not a lot of in between there. So yeah, this tutorial I made a long time ago should really help you. I don't know how good the commentary on it is, because I haven't looked at it in a while, but I hope that kind of answers your question there and makes sense. We are getting close to that hour. Connor, I'd really like you to follow up with me on this, man. Like, send me a message or just reply to any of my comments if you actually go through this AMD tutorial. For those of you who haven't got it yet, I recommend open this up in a new tab if you're on PC. Otherwise, you can just search on my YouTube channel, Undervolt, how to undervolt your graphics card, and just make sure it's the video that says new AMD Wattman software, because there was an old one that I did a while ago. Okay, can't I only change voltage on the last state? Triple Furious, that's with MSI Afterburner. But MSI Afterburner, like, it's not a good software. Like, yeah, Radeon Relive is a lot better than MSI After, in my opinion, hands down. So it's kind of like Radeon Relive. We can adjust everything. We can adjust core clock on every state, voltage on every state, memory voltage, memory clock. Don't undervolt your memory. Leave memory voltages as stock there, Connor. Or yeah, for all you guys in chat, leave memory voltage stock. RX 570 video cards, you can always push it straight to 2000 megahertz on the memory. Do not try to do like 1900. Just like it jumps, like there's certain kind of intervals that you kind of want to match there. It's either 1500, 1750, or 2000. I recommend 2000 on memory will give you about an extra 10% in performance, which is humongous, like maybe like 6 to 10% FPS boost, because memory is a big part of graphics cards there. But yeah, Triple Furious, I'm assuming you have an AMD video card, so use Radeon Relive. It is a very powerful tool. You can create your custom game profiles here. Let me see where I do it. So you can, this is how you add a custom game profile. You can select if you got Fortnite installed, if you have Apex installed, if you have these things, select custom game profile. So whenever you have that one application running, it automatically applies this undervolt setting. And I highly stress, do this if you have an AMD video card. Yeah, it'll really help, especially when gaming. It'll keep your temps down. If it keeps your temps down, it keeps your system quieter as well. Okay, we're right on that 1 hour mark. I'm gonna give it about 3 to 5 minutes. If there's any last questions you guys would like to ask, or if there's any last kind of thoughts that you want to go over, let me know. But other than that, I'm going to be signing off very, very shortly. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. We had a lot of people tune in this time, which is kind of exciting to see, because yeah, I've been doing this now for almost a month and a bit for the live streams. I'd almost say 2 months, and yeah, we're slowly building up a decent viewership here. So yeah, we will be signing off very shortly. This is your last chance to ask your question. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to sign off now. Thank you so much for coming and chatting and talking tech, because man, it's always fun to talk with people who are interested in the same thing, because it's like, I love going in depth about how do you optimize your system, how do we get the best voltages, how do we get the best, like, the best temperatures and stuff. Because for me, it's kind of like, I'd rather run like lower clocks, lower voltages, get 5% less FPS, and have a quieter system. Like, like for me, noise is a big deal. So that's where, like, right now I took the side panel off my system as I'm using it now, because it's kind of like getting closer to summer now. Like everything's getting warmer. I mean, I'm downstairs in my home here, so it is freezing cold still. But it is getting warmer, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that live stream there. We will be signing off, and yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be doing any lives throughout the week. If I do, they'll be really random, so if you want to be able to tune into those, you'll have to, I think there's like a bell icon or whatever the other YouTubers say, like, you know, put your notifications on, because those will all be random here. Cool. Just went through your video in Undervolt. Nice. Nice, Connor. You can play around with it, and if your system freezes, don't worry. You can okay, for Francisco, I got a couple minutes. Let me know what you need, man. But yeah, Connor, don't worry if your system freezes, if you blue screen and stuff like that. Don't worry. Just restart your system and everything will be okay. Yeah, put in your question, Francisco. I can answer it. I hope I didn't miss anything. Like, I'm obviously gonna miss people's questions, because it's kind of like, if you saw, like, our chat was pretty busy, so it wasn't just like people coming and being like, hi, hey. So yeah, it was a busy chat. So yeah, Francisco, I'll wait for your question. Don't worry. But yeah, like, undervolting is a huge. I'm a big fan of undervolting for sure. But yeah, Connor, let me know like how it affects your temperatures. I'd be very curious to know. Check your temps now, Connor. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Max voltage, I don't want to put it too low. Yeah, that's fine, Connor. But you can also, like, Connor, you can also try if you want your graphics card to run even cooler, try 1250 core and 9 let's say 65 millivolts. You can try that as well. You can even try lowering it down. Like, I don't know how loud your card runs, but like, the thing with AMD, it's kind of like, the higher the clock, the increasingly higher your voltage needs to be. The lower the clock, the lower your voltage can go. Like, it's pretty incredible. And it's like, I like the RX 570 over the RX 470 if I'm looking for a build, just because the RX 570, it's like, I think they did a better job. Like, the RX 570/470,
they have the exact same specs, just the 570 is a more developed, I would say, node or process or something. All right, Francisco, let me know. This looks like it's going to be a big question. Francisco, let me know which question it was. Let me see. The way to do it through Radeon software. I'm just going to scroll up in case I missed your question here. Is X79 Ddr3 support good? I think that might have been your question. Here, let's see. Yeah, Francisco, let me know if your question is X79 Ddr3 support important. Let me know if that was your question. I know, but which question is it, Francisco? You have to copy and paste it for me, dude, because it's kind of like I don't know which one. Okay, let's see. Not much difference between 1150 and 1250 core clocks. You can try 1150, even lower voltage. Yeah, that's true. Triple Furious, you're right. You can run 900 millivolts on that. Pro Bro Edits, dude. We're signing off, man. You missed it. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. We're going to be signing. If it runs high, we'll flash to... No. Connor. Don't flash BIOS to RX 470. Leave it on the RX 570 BIOS. Don't flash it. No, it's not. Francisco. Dude, which comment, dude? Please retype your comment for me, man. I'll answer your question. I can hang around for a couple minutes, but just retype your question. I'm sorry I didn't get to it, man, but I'm hanging here, man. I'm not just signing off. We're after the hour, so I'm on a tight schedule here. But yeah, Connor, don't flash your BIOS. RX 570 is fine, but just do the settings that we talked about here. You can try higher clocks here if you'd like. You can try the high clocks first. All right, you already typed it? Let me see. Can you answer my question, please? Need to go... I know you typed it, but I don't see it. That's a problem. I already asked Max. Let's see. I'm trying to find your comment there, Francisco. Is your question about the X99? I need a little bit more context. Like you might want to retype the whole question, just because it's, dude, it's hard to keep track of chat. I'm assuming your question was is X99 Ddr3 support your question? I don't see your question. Okay, X99 with DDR. Okay, all right, good. Yeah, because you have to keep in mind, Francisco, man. Like I can't keep track of every question. So it's kind of like if you ever have a question, just be like this is what you'd say in chat. Hey, can you answer this question, and then retype, just retype it, because the biggest thing is I'm not trying to ignore anyone, but as you saw, it was really busy today, and it's kind of like, yeah, you're gonna, with chat, you're gonna have to retype it. All right, X99 with Ddr3 support. That's a really good question. Two things we need to first understand. X99, I know which one you're talking about with Ddr3 support. You're talking about this guy here, Hunan X Janzi, or whatever. The E5 V3 CPUs, most of them do not support DDR3. So even if the motherboard supports DDR3, it's going to be useless unless there's a DDR3 controller in the CPU. So the only CPU option that I know of that would work with DDR3 is this E5 2689 V3 CPU. Yeah, if you're going with X99 and you have the money to spend, I actually like this route, kind of what you're mentioning there, Francisco. I've looked into this before. It's where you get the expensive Huanan G motherboard. It supports DDR3, and then you grab yourself the 12-core, 24-thread Xeon CPU here. And yeah, you probably would be able to figure out how to do that turbo boost unlock. It's a decent option, but yeah. Summary, if you get an X99 motherboard that supports DDR3, you can only use DDR3 if the CPU that you buy supports DDR3. And I think the only one that I know of is E5 2678. Otherwise, I'd recommend, if you want different options, go look on Google and try to find different CPUs. I know there are actually cheaper. Let's see, X99 DDR3. I gotta go, guys, but there are cheaper options here. Like you can get these X99 boards with DDR3 support.
But yeah, if you end up researching what CPUs support DDR3, I'd really appreciate if you could drop me a comment or reach out and let me know which CPUs support it. All right, Connor, see you later, man. Yeah, I'll see you next Friday. I don't know when we'll be streaming. The biggest thing is just make sure that notification bell's turned on, and sometime Friday I will stream unless I die, but that's unlikely. So yeah, expect that stream to come. But yeah, basically it's kind of like X99 motherboard. If you build, yeah, if you go with DDR3, make sure the CPU supports DDR3. I'll do some more research into X99 because it's kind of like if the V3 CPUs support DDR3, might be cool, but it's like I don't know a lot about memory controllers and what's included where. That's why I stick with X79. I know it's DDR3, I know it's cheap, and it works well for me. But anyways, Francisco, let me know if that answered your question. And then I will be signing off. Triple Furious, glad you enjoyed the stream. Connor, hope that helped you out, man. Take care, everyone. I'm just going to wait, make sure we got confirmation from Francisco, and we'll be good to go. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy your Friday. For most of you guys in Europe, enjoy your evening. For you in North America, enjoy your afternoon. And of course, have a great weekend. Francisco, man, let me know if you follow along here. I'm just waiting for you, man. Just send me a message here. Just say, bro, I'm good to go. Otherwise, I'll assume you signed off already. All right, I'm going to assume we got your question covered. All right, guys, take care. I'm going to be there. I'll be going now. But yeah, Francisco, hopefully that answered your question. But yeah, do some research into what CPUs on X99 support DDR3. That's a question that I'm even having, and I'm going to go research myself. Anyways, guys, enjoy your weekend. Take care. Thanks.